Sikh man handcuffed over ceremonial dagger in Wales. In early August, Prabjot Singh, a 30-year-old Sikh, and his friend Amarinder Singh visited the Tur Prince Fun Park in North Wales. While queuing for a line in the fun fair, one staff member called Prabjot over, then asked him to step out of line. Amarinder, clarifying things on behalf of Prabjot, who was not very fluent in English, asked about the request. Tur Prince Fun Park's staff alleged that Prabjot was wearing a knife and needed to exit the park. Amarinder explained to the park staff that Prabjot is wearing a kirpan, a ceremonial dagger that fully initiated Sikhs are obligated to wear. According to Amarinder, this park's staff explained that they could not allow the blade in case, quote, anyone gets injured. Before Prabjot and his son even finished with the ride, 4 police cars arrived at the park. Prabjot was handcuffed and detained for questioning. Carl Folks, North Wales Police Chief Constable, stated on Twitter, explaining that he, quote, recognizes both the religious and cultural sensitivity and plans to discuss things with the involved parties. So this was an interesting story because in the United Kingdom, having a kirpan on your person is actually fully legal. Like it's fully legal for him to have that. And fully baptized or fully initiated Sikhs, like there are very rare exceptions when this is removed. Like today when I was researching this, I learned that they even wear it in the shower with them.
What? Really? That's ridiculous.
That's what a few sources said. I don't know if everyone does that, but yeah, it's one of their 5 articles of faith, and it's an obligatory like external article of your faith. Rickster is saying Sikhs don't stab, they punjab.
I knew you would like that.
I'm so mad.
That's good. That's good.
Oh my goodness. Well, and part of the contention over this story was that, you know, it's one thing for the amusement park staff to, like, you know, the owner of the park basically defended them, saying like they saw a weapon, they wanted to remove it from the amusement park, like that's their job. However, this actually is fully legal in the UK. But a lot of the contention is actually towards the police, who are like, this is legal. You shouldn't have handcuffed him. And then their kind of defense is like, when we're dealing with a weapons situation, when we're assessing things, it's part of our policy to handcuff.
Okay, but even if it's legal, parks rules?
Wait, sorry, I accidentally removed you.
Okay, I was saying even if it's legal, isn't it against the parks rule? Like, wasn't that the issue?
Well, they thought it was like a weapon, but it's like it's not a weapon.
It is a weapon, even if you don't use it. It's a weapon. Like you
They're
can't.
saying, like,
you can't be
the
like,
knife isn't even sharp.
Well, I mean, you can't. Well, you can't know that. Like, okay, yeah, but okay, let's just do one by one. Is it against? People are saying this is legal, okay, but is it against the parks rule? Like to have weapons? Like we could talk about weapon, like whether this is a weapon or not later. Was that the parks rule? Right?
I didn't see anything stating that they had a specific rule about this. I could be wrong. But they did say that that they could not allow the blade in case, quote, anyone gets injured.
I mean, that's their rule. That's their park. Okay. People are saying, well, this is not illegal. Oh, like, well, they're calling on somebody on their property, not abiding to the rules that they have made conditional on you being on their property. Like, that is justifiable cause for the police to come and arrest you. Like, if you come into my house and I don't like you in my house and I call the cops, you can't be like, well, I mean, if you come into my house with like a weapon, I'm like, well, I don't like you to be in my house with a weapon, get out. And you're like, well, it's a free country, I could have a weapon. I'm like, yes, it is, not in my house, get out. And you don't leave, I could call the cops. You can't criticize the cops for saying like, why did you arrest them? They had guns, and it's free in this country to have guns. I'm like, yeah, but they were on this man's property and he didn't want them to be there with guns. And he has the full right to call the cops on them if he doesn't want them to be there with. I mean, this was not like discrimination. They could have completely. It was not like, hey, we don't like Sikhs here. It's always KH. I don't know why I always say Sikh instead of Sikh. It's not like, yeah. So it's not like this was not discrimination, because if they removed the knives, they could be like, okay, yeah, you can stay now. So this was not discrimination. They're like, we're not gonna change the rules because you have you have a religion that allows it. Like, I mean, this would be a form of religious privilege. I don't understand. Like, can I show up? Like, let's say, for example, I show up in a park with toy guns that look very realistic. And the park is like, yeah, you can't have that here. They're like, oh, it's a toy gun, I can't use them. I'm like, yeah, but we can't tell. Like, if you allow that, then anybody could just show up at the park, in our park, with like guns, and we have to always keep checking which one of them are real and which one of them are fake. So we just don't want you to come into our park with those fake guns, even though they're fake. They're kind of like intimidating looking, and we don't like that. And this is like a kids area or whatever, and you're just making everyone uncomfortable. So you can't be in our park. So you can't just be like, well, it's not sharp. Or like, yeah, we don't like people who are just walking around with knives here. Like, I don't understand. Like, guys, am I being unreasonable here? I just think like this is a form of religious privilege. Again, I am very much in favor of fighting against religious discrimination. Like, if these people like were discriminated against because they're Sikhs and the park people don't like Sikh people, that would be a form of religious discrimination, and the park owners or whatever need to be punished, right? But if this is a form of like, we have a rule for everyone here, and your religion, you having some, woo-woo magic reasons for why the rules shouldn't apply to you, that's like, yeah, no, that's not how it works. I think this was a form of religious privilege being taken away, and I think the cops were completely justified in arresting them because they weren't complying.
Well, they didn't arrest them.
Or handcuff them, though. Did they handcuff them? Yeah. I think it's completely justified. I think if they did what they would have done with anyone else with a not sharp knife, because they weren't abiding by the rules of that place, if they were, if the cop it's really hard to test for this, but if the cops did something more than what they would have done with somebody that is not Sikh but had like a knife with them that wasn't even sharp, if they did something extra, then the police are in the wrong. But if they did the exact same thing that they would have done with somebody that was not a Sikh but showed up in the park with a blade that is not sharp, if they did the exact same thing that they would have done with someone else, then the cops are completely in the right. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I see what you're saying. So I went to go find an exact source, and so I haven't seen anything about like the amusement park's policy. Besides, Mr. Singh said that after he spoke with officers, his friend was arrested. His friend was released. The opposite. After he spoke with officers, his friend was released, but a man claiming to be the park owner told them they had to either take off the knives or leave, and escorted them outside. Quote, I told them that we were not going to take it off. We want to have a fun day with the kids. We carry it day and night. We even wear it in the shower. There's nothing to worry about, he said.
You don't get to decide what worries them, okay? If you show up in my, park, for example, let's say I have a park and it's made to be a fun place for kids. If you show up with very realistic looking guns that are fake, and I'm like, I don't want you to be in my park with those real looking ass guns here, okay? You can't be like, hey, don't worry. Like, I decide if I worry, okay? Either get rid of those guns or get out of my park. Like, nope, don't worry. We just want to have a fun time here. Don't worry about it. No, You don't get to decide that for me. Get out. Either get out, either put those fake guns aside, or get out of
What
my
if there's a
park.
law that says that they're allowed to have them on their person?
Well, not in my park. Like if they said they're allowed, you don't get to decide. Yes, you could do that at other places. Like the law doesn't apply to what you could do on my property. Do you know what I mean? It's my property. Get out of my property. Like you don't, you can't. Like what the laws does not force me as the owner of this land to. Like for example, there's no law that says that you have to always speak in a low noise, right? That you can't enter a library saying and start talking on the phone loud, and if I come to like, sir, please either speak quietly or leave the library. You can't be like, there's no law that says that I have to speak quietly. Like, yeah, there's no law. That's just the policy of our freaking library, right? So you can't be like, well, yeah, but there's no law that says I have to do that. Okay, yeah, but this is the rules that we abide by here, and we get to enforce it. This is not the law of the land. This is the rules of this library. Do you know what I'm saying? Does that make sense?
Yeah, I'm trying to look at the specifics of the law and how broad it is.
Yeah, Queen Fabi is saying, then can anyone just sneak a weapon in by just claiming that to be Sikh? Yeah, like I mean, it would.
I mean, they would have to have all the other stuff.
Yeah, I mean, you can. I guess I could sharpen my knife and just put a turban on, and grow a beard, and now I have a license to carry weapons anywhere I want to go, even if the law of that specific place doesn't allow it. Like for example, in the United States, like we have things. Like for example, in the United States, there are states that you can open carry, right? But like a bank could be like, well, not in our bank. Like you can't just be like, well, there's a law says that I can. Well, yeah, you can, not in this bank or not in this airport, right? Like just because that's the law of the land that you can have these things, that doesn't mean every single place can't enforce their own specific rules for their own place.
Okay, as a belated article, possession of a kirpan without valid reason in a public place would be illegal under Section 139 of the Criminal Justice Act of 1988. This is for England and Wales. However, there is a specific defense for a person charged to prove that he carries it for religious reasons. There is an identical defense to a similar offense, which relates to carrying ablated articles on school grounds. The official list of prohibited, that's okay, so that's irrelevant. So they're totally allowed to have it in public.
Yeah, okay, but is this part like, okay, I don't know if this makes a difference or not. I'm willing to change my opinion. I don't know if this is relevant or not, but is this like a private park or a government-funded park? I don't know if that makes a difference.
I'm presuming private.
Okay, if it's private, then they have every right to kick them out. Every right.
I don't know what what is defined as a public place under this context.
Right. Okay, so I guess it depends. And I'm willing to change my opinion if somebody was like, well, no, Armin, this is like a government-funded park, and it will be described as a public place, and therefore the rules of what you get to carry in a public place will apply to this park. So I guess in that case, I would like change my opinion. But we don't know. So depends, I guess.
Hey guys, if you're a fan of Blasphemy and Sexy Callie, like me, then you need to be sure to subscribe to our newsletter, link in the description below. Because if you subscribe, we will send you a free copy of our Blasphemous Art ebook. And let me tell you, it is the tastiest blasphemy that you can find anywhere available today. And we are so generous with our blasphemy that we continue to send you more blasphemy every week. So make sure to subscribe, link in the description below.